Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Live Coding Second Breakfast. I'm your host, Christy, developer advocate here at ServiceNow. And I always start off my episodes to talk about the breakfast I'm having since it's second breakfast. I haven't had anything fun today. It's always my standard coffee, so I probably will stop talking about my coffee and my breakfast because it's never interesting. If I have something interesting, next time I'll do it. But anyway, welcome. If this is your first time joining, we have been working on our Smart Garden app where we are building some AI agents to help our IoT garden, community garden, or Garden Now project have some AI agent capability, some agentic workflow capability. So far we have done things like creating an agent that's a plant care specialist that knows about the plant that we are asking about or that it's monitoring. It knows the most recent metrics. So we store all the metrics from the sensors that we're sending data from into the platform. It knows all of that data, is pulling that back and then making some determinations on whether it's adequate or not adequate. We're not there yet. That's what we're doing today. It's making some determinations on kind of what the levels are of those different sensors. So that's as far as we've gotten today. And what we're going to do today, if you guys can see that, today we are going to now do the comparison. So now that we've got the metric data, our plant care specialist kind of understands the care that is required for the plant that we're looking at. It's going to then figure out, based on the data that it's getting, what we need actually to do. And then from there, it will pass off to our automation agent, which is going to be responsible for the automation of either creating a task for someone to go do for things like repotting. We can't exactly automate repotting at this point, but we can automate things like watering. Not going to get there today. Our focus today is going to be comparing the values we're getting from the metrics to the actual care needs of the plant. Jerry, hi Jerry. Good to see you, man. Thanks, Travis. I do love some Miro. I really do love Miro. This is my attempt at being organized. Don't think that I'm always this organized. Trust me. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is hop on over to our AI Agent Studio. And this is where we have defined our AI agent. So our AI agents are all the agents that make up an agentic workflow. The agentic workflow is the broader use case. The agents are our subject matter experts that are taking care of different parts of that agentic workflow. Just to set those for those folks that maybe aren't familiar with what we're saying when we're talking about AI agents and agentic workflow. All right, so here's our plant care specialist. And like I said, we've gotten to the point where we are looking up the plant care information. So we're using a web search to actually do that, a tool to do that. And then we have our plant care specialist returning this data in a format that previously was going to be stored in the ServiceNow table, but I don't think I'm going to do that anymore because I don't think I need that table anymore. And then returning this data. Step 4, get the current metrics for the plant. That's where we're getting that metric-based data from. And that's where we got to. And then, so our step 5 is now going to be our comparison step. And before I get too far, the last 2 episodes that I've done, I've been accompanied by Laszlo Bala, who is a colleague of mine as a developer advocate here at ServiceNow. And I just want to say he's not here today, not because he doesn't want to be, but because it's his birthday. So happy birthday, Laszlo, if you're watching. And for those of you who know Laszlo, reach out to him and say happy birthday. So he's taking some much deserved time off for his birthday today. Okay. All right. Back to it. All right. So what we want to do now, I think, is now that we have our data from our metrics, we want to establish, so for example, the sensors are getting data from like soil moisture, and those all return values for like conductivity. So the water in the soil, it's measuring that conductivity and it's returning it in a number. So we need to be able to understand like what's the minimum value, like AKA would mean 0 moisture versus what's the max value, which means max moisture. So I was doing a little digging here on the actual sensors we're using. So these are the sensors we're using. These Lily Go High Grow. So they've got all of the different types of sensors on them. So this blue thing is a humidity temperature sensor. Of course, this part is measures the how much moisture is in this. There's a port to here to plug in. So I did a little bit of digging in their GitHub that shows kind of also the different pinouts and things like that. And they did show me or tell me what the max and min values were. And I don't know, I don't remember where I found it. I think the max was 2,000 and the min was 200. Let's see, was it in this one maybe? Where was it? We might just go with that. Huh, what'd I do with it? Is it here? Oh, I'm pretty sure I found it in the GitHub. Just gonna keep going back and forth until I find it. And there's calibration to be done when you get these. So you calibrate the sensors. You put it in the water, you take that reading, you take it out of the water, dry it off, and you take that reading. And that kind of calibrates that sensor because these sensors are hobby grade, so they're not the best. So you can get some fluctuations in the data. I think I'm just going to go with the 200 and 2000 because I looked this up earlier. I'm like, oh, this will be handy. And then I lost it. So let's go with that. All right. So let's see if we can put it in the steps and see if our agent knows how to do math. Given the max value for soil moisture of 2000 and minimum, it's Mondays of 200, make a determination based on the sensor, the soil moisture sensor value of whether or not the plant needs to be watered. I'm doing this just for soil moisture because I know I found this value and just to test it to see if it will do math. And if it can do math, then we'll do it for every single metric. But right now we're just going to test it with soil moisture. Given the max value for soil moisture 2000 and a minimum of 200, make a determination based on the soil moisture value, whether or not the plant needs to be watered. Okay, let's save and continue. I know, I'm updating the value. These are our tools that we've added to this particular plant care specialist agent. So if you've missed it, if you weren't around for the other two, plant details action. So we're looking up the details of the plant. And I think that was the one that has the web search tool, perhaps. No, that's a flow action. Yes, so we're using a flow action. So it's basically just a flow that we created in here. I don't know why it's listed under the CI/CD spoke because that's not where it lives. But that's our action. And then get the metrics for the plant. So we're getting that metric detail for the plant. This is what Laszlo and I were working on last week. I did have a web search in here. Did I not save the web search? Oh, there it is. It's under the web search section. Makes total sense. And this is our web search that's taken the name of our plant or the type of plant that we've given it and going out, searching the web, or going to generative AI. In this case, I believe it's Gemini. Hi, Han. And getting our answer and returning it back in a very concise format. So I'll cancel that. I'm going to save and continue. We're not going to set a trigger yet. Sure, we'll go ahead and test it. I'm going to put myself in picture so you guys get a better view of the screen maybe. Can I make that bigger and make it easier for you guys to read? Yeah, that'll work. All right. I have a plant named Lettuce because I'm very creative in my naming. So we're going to say I need help with my plant named Lettuce. In the future, we'll set a trigger for this to run on a frequent basis so that it can make determinations and make decisions throughout the day. But right now we're just testing it via chat. So we'll start our test. And this will show us kind of what it's got going on. We only have the one AI agent right now in this one, but this will show you why agents are being triggered and then what tools those agents are using to accomplish the task. And you can see here as well all of the information. So there's my plant name, lettuce. It's found the plant, last fed, last watered, soil moisture of 83. I wonder if that's getting, it's okay. Don't worry about that. Come on, come on. So now it's looking up plant care information for romaine lettuce. Hi, Mahathi. It's Laszlo's birthday. It's happy birthday to Laszlo. Although happy birthday, Travis. It can be your birthday today, too. Okay, so this is a very long, drawn-out explanation of the care for our romaine lettuce. Here's our data. You don't have to return this. I put the display on because I wanted to see what kind of data it was returning to me. So I can see all that. There's our soil moisture of 83. I'm wondering if Jason has already converted this to percentages. So it's already 83%, which will make our job a lot easier. And it doesn't really fall within the 200 and 2000 range. So let's see what it came up with. Has been retrieved, care information. Organize and format. Oh my gosh, why am I getting so many notifications right now? Shade tolerance, intermediate, prefers full sun, good, medium. Care requirements have been formatted and structured. It's almost like it's looping around, which is weird. There's that. Okay, the next step is to use organized general knowledge tool to analyze whether the lettuce plant needs watering. Given the soil moisture of 83, the problem statement should be given a soil moisture of 83, a minimum threshold of 200, does the plant need to be watered? 83 is below. This indicates if the soil is too dry. Yes, because it's well below what we gave it as a minimum value of 200. But all the assigned tasks, no. Recommendation, water the lettuce plant as soon as possible to maintain optimal soil moisture. So it's working. It's doing what it's supposed to. But it looks like we're already returning that in the percentage. So let's go back and change our steps. Go back to our agent, our plant care specialist. I do need to work on my plant care naming, Travis. You are correct. What is, I don't even know how to pronounce the name of that plant. But I love it that you named it Wanda. Seems appropriate. Seems appropriate. Oh, Muppet. Okay, let's make sure I don't run over my dog with my chair. All right, so let's go back and change it. Given the max value, okay. So let's do that instead. We'll say assuming, no, assuming the value returned for soil moisture is a percentage. Oh, okay. Make a determination based on the soil moisture value of whether or not the plant needs to be watered. I don't know how then to tell the agent. We know that's working. Let's do this. Step 6. This is, we're going to create a new agent in just a second. If the plant does need to be watered, transfer? No. What word am I looking for? send the information to the garden automation agent. That's what we're going to call it. Or either creating a new task for watering, or if available, watering the plants using automation. It's a fun part. Okay, let's see what happens here. So we have that. Oh, we need to create our agent. Let's do that too. Let's not test it yet. Let's create our new agent, garden automation agent. There's our agentic workflows. I really wish there's an easier way to get back to this list view because that's kind of annoying. All right, we're going to call this our garden automation agents. This agent will be responsible for creating gardening tasks determined by the plant care specialist. Not a very good AI agent description, but that's okay. You are an expert in creating tasks for gardeners. Does it actually trigger the agent if you specify names here? That's a great question. So all of this, like what we have description for LM, when you see these tags for each of these fields, the agentic workflow is going to use this information to determine when it needs to engage this particular agent. I don't know if that answers your question or not, Mahathi. Maybe, hopefully. And I'm not sure about specifying name. Are you talking about specifying the names of the agent itself? Because that's what we did before, just to say, hey, you need to work with this particular agent once you've come to this determination. And in that case, it should use it. It should trigger it. You're an expert in creating tasks for gardening, like watering, misting. We want to do misting as well. What are the others? Adding humidity and or lighting and or adjusting lighting. How about that? Gosh, I can't type today. Like the order of execution in an agentic workflow. So if I give that in agent 1, that the next should be agent 2, does it work? We are about to find out if it works. It should work. It should. Going through the different labs that I've done with AI agents and building AI agents, it's worked in labs, but we're going to test it in our use case that we're using here. So hang tight and we will definitely do that. Okay. Step 1. Gosh, I just want you to create a task. Create a task for the plant need as specified by the plant care specialist. And we're going to make it real easy. Assign to the plant owner. We don't want to store that in long-term memory, so let's save it. Based on the provided plant. Wait, what did I do? Possible duplicates when multiple agents have similar descriptions. Agent collection of data. Well, that's just evaluating the need. We're going to throw caution to the wind and just say, go do it. Let's see what it says for recommended tools. Get new task details. It still fetches details of a new task to be created. It gets short description of a task created. No, that's not what I want to do at all. Let's add a record operation. Gardening automation task. A task created to handle. I'm going to be real generic here. This is not going to be the best, but we're going to do it anyway. What is my task table name? That is a great question. I don't know what my task table name is. I think it's just gardening task. Yes, okay. And we're going to create a record. We'll leave it supervised. I like to leave things in like supervised mode and display the output in these just so I can see what's happening. It makes it a little bit easier to kind of troubleshoot and see what's actually happening behind the scenes. But I do like to use this little AI button for it to come up with some creative, in this case, very uncreative processing messages, but that's all right. And we'll just let it give me whatever it wants here in this case. Do I have to have an input? Is that what I'm missing? Card automation task. Yep, that's what I need. Okay. Let's see. Short description. Oh, can I use variables? No context variables. So we'll say input plant. This is the name of the plant that needs care. I don't know if it will. Let's just do that. See what happens. We may just break everything right here, but that's okay. I backed up my work this time, so everything should be in source control and be fine. Okay, save and continue, save and continue. Sure. Actually, no, let's just leave that alone. All right, let's save it. And we'll go back to our, go away. Don't show me that again, please. We'll go back to our Smart Garden workflow and add this agent to our workflow. And, oh wait, I think I was supposed to add it here down at the bottom. Yes. So there's a bit of a bug, I think, with adding AI agents. I've done this a few times. Plant care specialist, and I hit add, and it shows there, but if I save and continue and go back, is it going to make a liar out of me? Yeah, it's not there. But when I test the actual agentic workflow, it works fine. So I don't know what's going on with that. Plant care specialist. And then what was our gardening automation agent? Uh-oh. Where's my, or is it garden automation? Yeah, there we go. Okay. There's our two. Save and continue. And I do want to test this one. So let's see what happens. I need help. You know what, Travis? You've inspired me to change my plant names. Plant. This is wildly unnecessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not going to name it lettuce anymore. We're going to name the lettuce, you have Wanda. How about we do Vicky? Vicky. This one's going to be Vicky. There we go. Just for you, Travis. Okay. I need help with my plants named Vicky. You reminded me of my aunt. I have an aunt named Wanda, and I was like, oh, she's got a sister named Vicky. So perfect. I could probably be way more creative, but it's Monday. My brain is still half asleep. Okay, so we're searching for information about our plant. We did our plant details action. So we got all of our information from the platform, searching. This will also help us determine if it's actually using the type of plant to do the web search or if it's using the name. Because if it searches for a plant of the type Vicky, it's probably not going to come up with much. So we'll make sure that it's searching for the right thing and using the plant type and not the plant name. Good. Still got romaine lettuce. That's good. Didn't search for Vicky. But now we're going back to our agent. I wonder if we could create a prompt with Now Assist to rename my plant names. That's a great idea. I don't see why not. We use Now Assist to come up with the fun names that we have on C3 cards. So we could do the same thing for plants. That's a great idea. There we go. There's our metrics. Your plant Vicky has been evaluated. Current sensor readings indicate that watering is not needed at this time, and all environmental conditions are within the recommended range. No further actions required. If you have any additional concerns or questions, please let me know. Okay, there we go. So I think we should do the opposite test. So if I name this plant or give this plant the type of, let's say, well, 83 is going to be sufficient for everybody. Humidity of 31. That seems kind of low. I think we should move on to humidity and then change the type of plant to like a cactus or something, or like a fern that needs like super high humidity, and see if it will do something with the humidity. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, if I'm honest. But I kind of want it to pass the ball over to the gardening automation agent to actually create Curiovine. What is Curiovine, Mahathi? I want to see, oh, and the light is low too. We're going to move on to humidity though. So let's go back to our plant care specialist. And now let's tell it to evaluate the humidity as well. And humidity, I think, shoot, I totally missed what that value was coming in. It was 31. So that's also a percentage, I think. And Jason's really, oops, back again. Sorry. He's added all that math. A curious, climbing, and ever-growing plant. A curiovine. Oh, I get it. I was thinking curio like a cabinet. Like, wait a minute, what's a curiovine? Since we're working this out on AI agent. Okay, we can name one of them Curiovine. I'm down with that. Let's see. Let's name Ivy. Ivy would be good because that's a vine. Curiovine. I'll take it. And then we'll make this like English Ivy as our plant type. And we'll test with that one too. I don't know what the care requirements are for Ivy. So that'll also be a good test because I have no idea how to take care of Ivy. Not my cup of tea on that one. Okay. So we have our steps. So assuming value returned for soil moisture and humidity. Let's do that. Let's just add and humidity. Nope. Humidity is a percentage. Make a determination based on the values, the sensor values, whether or not action needs to be taken. Can we be that vague? If the plant does need to be watered, does need care, send the information to the garden automation agent for either creating a new task or, if available, automating the task. Ivy is not my favorite plant as it grows all across my fencing. I bet. I've heard horror stories of people with ivy. Yeah. And wisteria too is apparently a very invasive plant, because I've looked into that. We have like a pergola on the front of our house, and we're trying to figure out some sort of like plant that we can grow that will grow up on the pergola. But everything I've read about, like, there's always issues about the plant getting into like the shingles of the roof or into the brick of the house, and just doesn't seem worth it. Even though I love plants, it just does not seem worth all of that trouble. We need an ivy sensor. Yeah, it'll sense it when it starts to like destroy the foundation that it's growing on. I like it. Okay, so we added that. Let's see. Well, let's look at Vicky again, right? See if we can be super vague. Help with my plant named Vicky. See what we get this time. Can I make that smaller? Yes, let's do that so we can see more of that orchestrator. We're gonna spray pesticide on it. Yeah. We have a problem here in Connecticut with Japanese knotweed, I think is what it's called. It's like taken over and it's become incredibly invasive, like drowning out other like native plants. I don't know how it got here, like where it came from, but it's become a bit of a problem here. And my husband's been fighting a battle with it in our front yard as well. So very much like ivy, because it does tend to like spread and grow everywhere. Okay, we got all that information back. I can probably turn off the display for that. We have the same issue here as well in the UK. Man. Organic farming. I like that idea. I like the idea of like aquaponics too. I have on a whole other topic while we're waiting for this to run, I have fish tanks as well, aquariums, and I had 2. And I was like, oh, I really need to. Oh, here we go, which is below the recommended range of 40 to 60 for optimal plant health. Is it advisable to increase humidity around the plant? You may consider misting using humidifier or grouping plants together to raise humidity level. No immediate action is needed for soil moisture, but addressing low humidity will help ensure the continued health of your plant. Okay, that's easy enough. What if we tested it with, what other one? The English ivy. So English ivy, I wonder if it needs more humidity. Let's find out. Let's do another one. Can I do another one? Can I reset that? Or do I have to like do a test again? Yes. What do we call that? Curio vine. Let's test it. Let's see what happens, Mahathi. So fish tanks, I had 2, and I wanted to put them all together because they were kind of in weird spots where people couldn't really see them. And so I got a bigger tank, like a 32-gallon tank, and put everything into the 32-gallon tank thinking I was going to get rid of the other 2. And surprise, surprise, I now have a 5-gallon tank sitting directly off to my left here in my office. It's going to be a shrimp tank, and the other tank is going to be a 15-gallon tank with pea puffers. But I say all of that to say I also use these tanks to grow plants. So I have lots and lots of plants in the aquariums because it's almost like aquarium on easy mode. Just FYI, they do take care of a lot of the nitrates and things that happen in the water. Okay, the attempt to retrieve the plant record for Curio vine owned by Christy resulted in an error. The undefined value has no properties. Oh, what happened? Is it going to tell me? Collect input. Undefined value has no properties. Obtain. What are we using? Collect input from team. What is that? Since the retrieved information is not available in memory or scratchpad and the tool failed. Huh, okay. The required plant record cannot be accessed, does not exist. Did I spell it incorrectly? No. It's there. Oh, or maybe it didn't. Oh, do I not have... Let's check Workflow Studio. Well, that's a bug we got to fix, but baby steps. Let's see if maybe that particular... That is jarring when you've been in dark mode this whole time. Oh, man. Okay. Let's see if... Yep, there's our error message. Man, this is happening last time too. It may not like the script. Undefined. Soil moisture value. Okay. So I think that is because we don't have MetricBase data for that particular plant. That's why. But something we definitely need to handle, which actually we'll put on our backlog here to handle when there are no MetricBase values to get. I'm not going to spell retrieve. I'll embarrass myself trying to spell retrieve. Okay, so that's a problem. Name gets fallback. Also, bamboo is even worse. Really? Interesting. So which one of these have data? I think tomato, or why don't we just rename Vicky? No, we don't want to rename Vicky because that's got... And we'll say Curiovine. Oops. What was this before? This was Ivy before. We'll do that. We'll just see if we can find one that does have a some metric-based values. The problem is when you don't have current metric-based values, you don't see the values here, but I see that I've at least recorded them at some point, like a month ago. So that's something else we'll probably have to handle. If it's been way too long since we've gotten values back from the sensor, we probably want to tell somebody about it because we can't monitor that plant anymore. But some of these plants I do have data on and some of them I don't. So let's see if this works better with this particular plant. How about we go back and we do it again? See what happens. It's funny you mentioned that. Now that I remember, I had a friend who had bamboo grown all around her house. Please provide the plant record. So it's not finding the plant record. Still doesn't like that either. Maybe it's not recent enough. These are all old values. Well, I think we might just have to find a plant that would not be happy with 83% soil moisture. Because maybe those old values have been truncated at this point because they're a month old. So that would kind of make sense. Can you go back to my plant details, please, instead? Thank you. So what can Vicky be that would be unhappy with that amount of soil moisture and 31% humidity? What about like a Boston fern would like that moisture? Boston fern. But we already proved this. We already proved that we could get, that it would look at both of those. I really need live sensors. I got to get on Jason by getting those live sensors. Are these values coming through integrations? Yes, that is a great question. So the values that we're getting are, yeah, I know, okay, are coming from devices that look like this. So these are in the soil of the plants. And this data is, I think it's every like 10 minutes. So we have these in the hack zone floor. So we want to show more like live data. So you don't need it every 10 minutes for a plant. You could do this once an hour, once a day if you wanted to. But these are set up to send data to the platform every 10-ish minutes. And I'll show you what the, where's my studio? There is a scripted REST API for our plant data. Oh, I guess I could have gone to the resources. This is terrible, but this is for actually setting it up. And this is for recording the data, I think. Nope, it's totally wrong. Good call. So the MAC address is what gets sent to identify the actual sensor. The sensor and the plant and the garden are all related to each other in a CMDB. So they all have relationships built into the CMDB. And here we are authenticating based on the API key. And then down here is where we're actually saving that data in MetricBase. So the data comes in, we store that data in those particular fields in MetricBase. So if you're not familiar with MetricBase, we talked about this maybe 2 episodes ago, I think. But unlike just having a traditional field that you could dot walk to and just say plant dot soil moisture, the different fields are just a time series database. So it's like a database within a database. Maybe the easiest way to kind of explain it. So that's why we're not just kind of dot walking or setting value. We're actually doing this via some data builder and things like that. So if you ever see SN_Clotho, which I didn't know for the longest time what namespace that was, that's MetricBase. That's coming through MetricBase if you have that installed on your instance. But yeah, this is the inbound REST API that is then saving this data. We've got battery information that saves directly to the sensor itself, and the metrics are saved to the plant itself and not just the sensor. Because the idea is we could potentially have multiple sensors monitoring a single plant. So one sensor could just do soil moisture, another one could do humidity, blah, blah, blah. We wanted to be kind of flexible. So yeah, kind of cool. And this was all built in 2020, I think, when the pandemic hit and I started collecting plants. And Jason, being the influence that he is, Jason McKee, he's our lead of our CreatorCon space at Knowledge, suggested that we use ServiceNow to start managing my plants, or helping me manage my plants. And of course, I was like, that's a great idea, Jason. Let's do that. And so thus the garden project was born. It's come a long way since then, but yeah. So that's the integration that gets the data. I probably should have covered that before, but I didn't. But thank you for asking, Mahathi. It's always fun to talk about that. Yeah, the various parameters. So if I look at MetricBase, oh, nope. Yeah, time series metrics. So you see all these. I don't know what these are for. These got added somehow in my scope, but these are all the different metrics that we're tracking. So air temperature. This is how the MetricBase metric is created. So it'll show you the metric field name, how often do we want to aggregate that data, and then you can make some nice graphs out of these as well, just kind of building this with MetricBase and storing all that data, that time series data. We use this also in the SmartKeg app as well. So if you see the SmartKeg at the Hack Zone or at Knowledge, it's built on MetricBase too. So very cool. But these are all the other ones that we're using. And again, I don't know what the heck all these are. They just showed up when I added those in. Okay, so let's go back and pick up where we left off. Please provide. We were still getting that error message. Hi, Shama. How are you today? Thanks for joining. Error no defined. Okay. Let's go back to Workflow Studio and see if we can figure out why the heck we're not getting those. Is that the same? That's the one we did before. Let's show matching on that one. Yeah, it's the same thing, I think. Well, it should though, because didn't we just rename our plant? Isn't that what we did? Or did I just literally test the exact same thing I tested last time? I forget. I got distracted. Plants. Oh, no, that's not it at all. Let's go back to my all plants again. Oh, Curio Vine, Vicky. I think I tested on that one too, and that's the last metric. So this is the one that we wanted to check out. What if we tried a golden sedum? A golden sedum is a type of succulent that prefers drier environments. So what if we said Vicky was a golden sedum? What would it do then? Totally different kind of plant. Totally different kind. Oh, and I said Curio Vine again. Dang it. Well, Vicky is the problem. Let's see. Maybe. I think there's I'm pretty sure there's a golden sedum. I'm almost positive, right? Am I making things up? Sedum. Yes, that's what a golden sedum looks like. Stone crop, golden stone crop. I'm horrible with succulents too, unless they're outside. Outside they do great. Even in Connecticut they do great, which is shocking to me because it gets so cold here in the winter. Okay, so we got our information from the web. We're getting our plant metrics. using that tool. There's our data, which we've seen a million times. By next stream, I will try to have more data in here so we can test with more plans. I just have none of the sensors left. We've taken them all for all the different events that we've been doing. So, and it ended. What the heck? That's not what we wanted. Successfully retrieved, including its plant type, golden sedum. Oh, we didn't read exactly what sedum Adolphia, copper tone stone crop. Okay. It can be grown indoors in colder climates, blah, blah, blah. Okay, see, the next meeting task, golden sedum, web search, we did that. Golden sedum care requirements, plant for Vicky, okay. Okay, we got all of our metrics. Those are all being returned in objects, so there's all our metrics. It's just not giving us the information. Compare the current sensor. It should be watered only when the soil is dry, and overwatering can lead to root rot. The soil moisture is very high for a succulent, indicating that no watering is needed. So maybe we should also indicate whether we need to be concerned about the amount of water in the soil to our agent, because that could be a problem too for certain plants. A lower end, but generally acceptable for this plant. No immediate care actions are required. Do not water, and there's no urgent need to increase humidity. So it did work. It just didn't give us that feedback like I kind of hoped that it would. But I don't think I told it to either, because there's no tool to do that. That's just in the steps. So is there a way to make sure that it outputs that information every time? So what are our different tools that we can have here? Conversational topic, no. Search retrieval, subflow, web search. I kind of want it to give me that data. Okay, well, let's go back anyway, and let's look at the plant care specialist again. And let's put provisions in here for it to also make determinations if there's a problem with one of the parameters other than it needing care, like if the humidity is too high, we need to reduce it. So if the plant does not need care, send information to the garden automation agent for either creating a new task or, if available, automating the task. Also consider if, or also, we'll say also consider if a parameter is out of range. No, gosh. In this flow, which is AI orchestrator? Is that plant care specialist or AI agent? So good question. So when you see when I go back to the test, I'll talk about that in a second here. But the plant care specialist in this case is an agent. We have a plant care specialist agent, and we have a gardening task automation agent. And think of the agents as being kind of the subject matter experts. So the plant care specialist should know all about the plant and be able to look at information about the plant, its needs for care, and also about the data that's coming in from those sensors. So what is the current humidity? What's the current moisture? And it should know, based on this information, I need to do something with it, and then send that information over to the garden automation agent that then will either create a task for the person or will automate the watering or maybe the humidity. So maybe we have a humidifier or a dehumidifier, whatever the case may be. That agent will be responsible for the tasks around taking care of the plant, if that makes sense. But I'll show you kind of the broader picture here in a second when we get to the orchestrator. If a parameter is out of range for the species of plant, alert the owner of the plant. I don't know any other way to say that. I'm going to have to figure out my wording to be a little bit better here. You do have AI assistants here too to help you kind of create these descriptions. Although I don't know where they went to. I thought they were here somewhere, but you do have AI at your fingertips to help you do that too. So if I save and test, this is where we'll be able to see our actual agent, but I don't want to test it here. I want to test our overall agentic workflow. So the agentic workflow, which what we used to call use cases in the platform, is kind of the broader picture of what you're trying to accomplish. So you can think of them as maybe a series of steps. So like for lack of a better term, if I'm trying to relate it to something in the platform, kind of like a playbook that just has different agents that support that broader use case or that broader workflow that you're trying to accomplish. In this case, this is all about taking care of a garden and different plants in the garden. So when you define your agentic workflow, you're kind of giving it a description about what it's meant to do, as well as the different steps to use the different agents that are available to it, so on and so forth. And so here's where you would add those additional agents that would support that broader use case. It doesn't show them here because, like I mentioned before, there's a bit of a bug here for it not showing those agents because it should show them there. And then you have triggers. In my case, I'm going to use just a schedule trigger to do this every day or every 3 hours to create the tasks that need to happen. But it also is conversational, as you can see. You can use it in like a virtual agent or Now Assist. Okay, I need help with my plant named, I think you're still working with Vicky, right? Okay, so the orchestrator in this case, when you see the orchestrator kind of kick off, it's the one that's, for lack of a better term, orchestrating which agents are handling the task based on the ask from the user. So you can see the orchestrator immediately goes to the plant care specialist because that's the first step that we defined to get all the information about the plant, all of that. Within the agents, we have different tools that we give the agents to accomplish that task. So in this case, it's getting the information about the plant that we have stored in the platform, like the metrics, what kind of plant it is. And then we're using a web search to then search for information about that specific plant and use that in our overall workflow. I hope that helps a little bit. Non-deterministic playbook, kind of. Yes, it has an outline of what's supposed to happen, but it can reason around it, not just take path A or B. Yes, that's what we've been referring to agentic AI or AI agents in our labs that we've done is non-deterministic workflows, where our deterministic you can think of as the traditional like flow designer flows or workflow editor flows that you've created in the past. Yes, great point, Mateus. Okay, so we've gotten that. The care assessment for your plant Vicky has been completed. All recent sensor readings and environmental conditions are within the recommended ranges. That's not true though, right? Because Vicky is a sedum and it's 85%. No, we're gonna have to work on that. But I was pretty vague, to be fair. I was not very specific about what to do with that. Okay. And the great thing about the orchestrators, you can actually see everything that's kind of happened here in like the different iterations. So it might call plant care specialist multiple times, right? It might call it once to get the metric information. It might say, okay, well, I need the information about the plant itself from the web search. We're going to have to go back and reevaluate all of that and figure out the best way to phrase all that information. So it's finding that soil moisture is 83. Blah, blah, blah. Got it. Golden sedum. It should be saying here before, like we saw, soil moisture should drop between waterings with the care requirements. Ideal humidity is 40 to 30, but tolerable levels. It should be telling me that I need to do something about the moisture in the soil. So I'm going to have to go back and kind of rephrase that. How much time we have? We have 5 minutes. Okay. Let's go back and rephrase that particular bit. If the plant does need care, send the information to the garden automation agent for either creating the task available. If the parameter is out of range of the species of a plant, I'll give it an example. Requires lower what if we say if the plant is in, I'm going to get too specific, I think, danger of something like root rot based on alert the plant owner. I don't know if this will do it or not, but we're going to try it and see. Very specific example. And again, I'm going to need more data. But I want to test my overall agentic workflow. Oh, man. Can I just test? I just want to test. Okay, thank you. That's what I want to do. All right, one more time. I need help with my plant named Vicky. I promise next time I'll have more data and we'll test with more plants and maybe a whole garden. Below the threshold of moisture. We'll see. In this case, we are way over what is moisture. I mean, there's some nuances here too, right? Because if it reads at 83% once, it could just be because it just got watered, and we want to kind of ignore that initially. But if it stays that way, so there's probably going to be some sort of persistent value. So if a cactus stays at 83% watered, 83% soil moisture, we probably want to do something, because then the plant is going to be in danger of being waterlogged, and that's not what we want. So there's definitely some nuance to the plants as well. I can probably turn that off. I probably should turn that off. Do that in a second. While we're waiting for this, and before we wrap up, because we got a couple more minutes left, I'm actually out on PTO celebrating my son's 10th birthday next week. We're taking him to Epic Universe and Universal Florida. Super excited about that. So I will not be on stream next week, but I will be back the week after, which I think is the week of September 20-something. Terrible with dates. Can't keep it straight. But I won't be on stream next week, but I will be back the next coming week. Alert care needed for Vicky. The soil moisture is currently very high, which puts the plant at risk of root rot. So we added some specificity. Man, I can't say that word either. To our prompt, and it looks like we got something back. Good. And it even looked at the light level. We didn't ask it to do that yet. So that's cool. We didn't have to be super specific about that. Light level is extremely low, 18 lux. Golden sedum requires 4 to 6 hours direct sunlight. Consider moving the plant closer to a bright window or providing supplemental lighting. Nice. Okay. Well, it's evaluating all of our parameters even without asking. So that's nice, because we did specify soil moisture and humidity, but it's also got light level in here. So that's a result. I think that's a good testing result. So I think that's a good place to specification. Thank you, Mahathi. I need help today, because I said Monday and I'm still waking up. Thank you, Govind. Thank you very much. He's very excited about turning 10 and very excited about going to Super Nintendo World in Orlando. So really looking forward to that. All right. Well, I think that is going to close us out for today. Thank you guys all again for joining. It's been great. It's always fun to chat with you guys and be here on the stream with you guys. Before we wrap up, I just want to call out that our Zurich content calendar is filling up. So we're adding more and more Zurich content out there with things like creator toolboxes, deep dives into studio, different things like that. So keep an eye out for that. I also have Earl and Travis doing live streams on alternating Wednesdays. So we've got Travis with Afternoon Tea and Earl with his 11sies. So be sure to check those out. They're doing some really fun stuff on their streams as well. And I already mentioned I'm not going to be here next week. So you guys have a great rest of your week and a great week next week. And we'll see you in 2 weeks, right? Thanks, everybody. Bye.